The Lion and the Loom. Chapter 2. The Place Without a Name. The child did not return home. Not fully. Not in the way they were expected to. Their body reappeared on the scans. Their footsteps were logged. They answered questions with acceptable words. But something had unraveled behind their eyes, and something new had begun to spiral in its place. Each dusk, when the outer lights dimmed and the rest units clicked into sequence, the child slipped beyond the sanctioned grid lines and wandered north. They walked beneath an indifferent sky. They crossed the hush of the tree line and found the clearing, where the lion waited, unmoving, unmoved, and yet somehow impossibly alive. They never spoke aloud. Speech felt brittle in that place, but the silence between them had shaped. The lion's gaze wrapped around the child, like a memory one the world had tried to forget. For 12 nights they met. The child brought pebbles with spirals etched into them. The lion brought nothing, but every time it exhaled, the wind seemed to form a pattern in the grass. Circles within circles. Unnamed glyphs. The child followed them with trembling fingers. One night the lion blinked. Just once. And in that blink, the sky above the clearing cracked. Not visibly, not yet. But the child felt it. A loosening, a question. A breath where once there had only been command. Why do I feel like I've been here before? The child whispered inside themselves. Why do I miss something I've never known? The lion stood and turned toward the farthest edge of the woods. The child followed. They came to a clearing where the air shimmered, even though no heat moved. The ground was soft, as if it remembered being touched. At the center of this place stood a stone, ancient, cracked, wrapped in moss and silence, and tied around the stone, impossibly fine, was a single thread. It pulsed faintly. Alive, unseen by anyone who had forgotten how to see. The lion bowed its head to the stone. And the child, as if moved by instinct older than body, placed one hand upon the thread. It shivered, and so did the world. Elsewhere, far away, someone dropped a cup and did not know why. A teacher forgot the lesson plan. A dog howled without reason. A maintenance algorithm collapsed into poetry. The world did not notice, but the dreaming had begun.
Chapter 3. The Mouth Beneath Silence. By the 13th night, the clearing no longer felt still. It pulsed gently, almost imperceptibly, with something that had no name in the waking tongue. The thread around the old stone flickered, dim as a candle in a well. The child sat beside the lion, knees drawn to chest, palms pressed to the damp earth. They no longer brought questions. They brought listening. The lion began to speak. Not with words, as the waking world had no alphabet wide enough, but with memory, scent, symbol, and silence. The first story. The lion raised one paw and drew a spiral in the dirt. The child recognized it immediately, even though they did not know from where. The shape felt older than the world, like it had always been beneath the floorboards of their mind. Then the lion pressed its nose into the center of the spiral, and the world fell inward. The forest dissolved, or perhaps it bloomed into something larger, wilder, more luminous. The air thickened with gold. Voices hummed at the edge of hearing. Trees bent toward unseen winds. They stood at the edge of a vast, circular chamber, roofed by a mirror that showed not reflection, but remembrance. In the center of the chamber spun a great loom, even though it had no weaver. Threads hung from the sky like rain. Each one hummed with story, not fact, but meaning. The child turned to the lion, wide-eyed, and from somewhere beneath the lion's silence came the first shape of understanding. Before the dreaming, there was the loom. Before order, there was pattern. The world was not made of matter, but of memory. The child stepped toward the loom and the room flickered. Just before it vanished, they saw their own reflection on the mirrored ceiling. But it wasn't them. Not quite. They snapped back into the clearing. The spiral was gone. but the taste of it remained on their tongue. Ash, honey, sky. The lion turned its great head and looked east. Far beyond the forest, something had begun to fall out of place. The waking world was cracking at the seams. But here, in the borderlands, a child had glimpsed the old lore, and the lion, once only a watcher, had spoken. That night, the child did not sleep, but they dreamed anyway.